So for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to try and ride a surfboard blind and try and catch a frisbee.
Ow! That was a wipeout. Yeah, that was crazy. You good?
Catching a frisbee blind is hard, but not impossible. We'd actually practiced it a bunch of times before we went out on our boards. Oh.
Here you go.
Oh, damn it.
Chunk.
Oh.
All right, 3, 2, 1, chunk.
Oh, yes!
Hey.
Success!
That's what it took.
I caught a giant frisbee. See, that's doable, but the part about surfing near the rocks, that's where we went wrong. And I should have known better because of what happened 2 years before that. At that time, I was just learning how to surf, and I was going through the final stages of losing almost all of my eyesight. And my fiance Banana had to go all the way to the other side of the country to Boston, and I decided this would be a good time to assert my independence, even though I really couldn't see anything anymore. I said I was gonna go surfing by myself. I'd never done that before because, like, who lets a blind person go surfing by themselves? But I was trying to prove to her and me that I could still do stuff independently. So I thought about calling an Uber because I'd done it before, and sometimes they would come to my house and take me and my surfboard to the beach. Hey, Timothy, is it okay if any chance I can put this in the back?
Yeah, I think we can lay down one of the seats and we'll go right through.
Oh, all right, that'd be cool. But a lot of times I get to my place and be like, "What, are you crazy? I'm not taking your stupid surfboard all the way to the beach." Plus, again, I felt like doing stuff all by my independent self, so I decided to walk all the way to the beach all by myself. And I should have known right off the bat I was going to be in for a heck of a day, because the first time I tried to cross a street by pressing a little button that was supposed to beep, it did not go well. Waiting for the beep. It did not beep. But I can hear that the traffic is going the way I want to go, so all right then. Super safe. Here I go. But eventually I did get all the way down to the beach without getting run over by any cars, and I found my way to a spot that I'd surfed before called the Warm Waters Jetty. Now, I had a bunch of stuff, and I was never going to be able to find it unless I put it somewhere that was physically easy for me to find. So what I did is I changed into my wetsuit and left all my stuff right next to a jetty. So I put on my wetsuit and then walked 400 paces, which is about 300 yards when you're on a beach, south of the jetty, and then paddled out into the ocean. What I did once I got out there is I would just listen for the sound of the waves, and when I heard them coming, that's when I'd start paddling, and I'd pop up and I'd ride a wave. Now, I did this 2 times by myself. I paddled out and I caught a wave. Paddled out and then I caught a wave. Now, on the 3rd time, what happened was this. Remember that jetty that I put my stuff next to? Well, I thought I was plenty far away from it, but every time I paddled out and caught a wave, I'd apparently been drifting north, back towards the jetty. So by the 3rd wave, I was lined up dead straight in front of the jetty. But I didn't know this. I'm up on my board, cruising full speed, on top of the world, thinking how great and independent I am out there on my surfboard doing my own thing, and all of a sudden, what? I'm laying on a pile of rocks. No concept of what just happened to me. I'd surfed right into the jetty, and since I wasn't prepared for it at all, I didn't get to put my arms up or anything. I just went flap, face first into the jetty. I'm just starting to get my bearings and realizing how injured I am when a wave comes and just smashes me into the rocks even more. That happens once, twice, 3 times, and I start realizing I need to get out of here. I'm getting beat to hell. So I basically just kind of crawl up to the top of one of the higher rocks and throw myself off to the side, tumble down there, and end up in the water. I am cut to ribbons, and my ears are ringing, and I'm completely disoriented, but I somehow make my way towards the beach, and I run into a guy who says to me, he's like, "Hey buddy, you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, thank God, someone's gonna help." And I can't speak, but I shake my head at him. I'm like, not good. Dude goes, "Oh man, that sucks. I cut my heel on my fin last week and bled all over the place. It was terrible." Then he just walks away. I'm like, what the hell? So I finished making my way over to the other side of the jetty, which is where my stuff was, and I grab my iPhone and I need to call for help. But I'm not thinking straight, and I don't really want to call an ambulance, but I want to call someone. So I'm trying to call my fiance. But because I'm bleeding everywhere, I just got blood dripping out of my fingernails and my hand. I'm trying to touch my phone to make a call, but it's not working because I'm just smearing blood all over the screen. Eventually, I start using my brain again, which is quite rattled at the time, and I go, "Oh yeah, voice calling." So I call my fiance and I tell her, I had an accident. She's like, I'm all the way across the country. What do you want me to do? I'm like, can you call an Uber and send it down to the beach for me? I just want to go home. We argued for a minute. I was like, I'm not taking an ambulance. I just need to go home and shake this off. So eventually she does call an Uber for me. And about 20 minutes later, someone actually shows up. My fiance actually called the Uber driver and told her, like, my fiance is blind, he's got a surfboard with him, and he's kind of injured. Can you pick him up? And she said yes. I mean, that was half a miracle unto itself, but she shows up, and the first question the Uber driver asks is like, hey, do you have a beach towel? And I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, you're gonna need to put that down. I don't want you bleeding all over my leather. So she takes me home, and my fiance had also called our neighbor because he was standing in the driveway, kind of like waiting for me to come home to see if I needed any further medical attention. The guy actually tells me that basically my whole back and right-hand side was embedded with pebbles and little rocks and all sorts of cuts and stuff, and guy actually offered to help pick the rubble out of my skin for me. Oh, gross. And that right there was actually the very first time I'd gone to the beach all by myself and tried surfing by myself. It was also the last time I did that because after I healed up, that's when I decided to finally start working with a coach, and that's when I got together with Josh.